The views and opinions expressed on this show are those of the host and or the persons appearing on the program, and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of Twilight Talk Radio, its advertisers, or affiliates. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the show. You are listening and watching Live Conversations with Tracy here on Twilight Talk Radio, where we are engaging, empowering, and living out loud. I am your host, Tracy Kelly, and we broadcast this show every Sunday night from 7 to 8 p.m. Welcome back. And I have another welcome back. As you see, I have a very handsome guest in my studio today. I know, aren't I corny? I love it. We have the phenomenal Dr. Melvin Allen here in the studio. Melvin is a relationship guru. He is an MBTI practitioner, and among many, many other things, and a very good personal friend of mine that is my special co-host tonight. So hello, Melvin. Welcome.
Hello, Miss Tracy. Welcome. It's always good to be here.
I love having you in the seat next to me. I really do.
Gee, this is a love fest.
I know. I can't help it. I'm a love bug. It's just ridiculous. But if anyone has been following my Facebook post, let me go ahead and tell people how they can follow the show, follow the station, and follow myself. Again, Live Conversations with Tracy I have a Facebook page. The call-in number for people that are wanting to listen but cannot watch is 909-726-7226. If you want to talk to us, press 1, because you really do want to tap into the wealth of knowledge and experience that Melvin has. So take that opportunity. My email is tracytalks@hotmail.com, and I think that is it all. That station I did. Oh, TwilightTalkRadio.com. We are broadcasting live on Ustream as well as we speak. So, now that the business is taken care of, let's get to our topics. I was really excited. We did with Melvin, as my audience knows, I do a group therapy with Melvin and Sherry.
Coaching.
Group coaching, thank you. I'm so glad I'm with it today. I do a group coaching with Melvin and his amazing wife, Sherry, and they're the co of the Allen Group, and in our group sessions, we do a lot of work and we cover a lot of ground. And there was a piece that we did about forgiveness that was an uncovering of leading to what the topics are tonight, about self-love, about commitment, and more specifically about, relationship readiness. And so I wanted to kind of tie that all in together, but before we get started, let me not be rude. If our audience is the first time seeing you, Melvin, please tell them, bio time, sorry. Please tell them who you are, what you do, and how fabulous you are.
Oh, how fabulous am I? I would say that I'm a very unusual man in the sense that I've talked to over 5,000 women over the last 25 years. I've worked over 5, 7, 8 years in prison, working with women and coaching and interacting with them, which is an amazing experience. And also hospice volunteer. Next year will be 10 years. So I love being with people who have 6 months or less to live, because they tell you the truth.
Yes.
They're not into looking good, and they're not into trying to impress, and they're not dressing to impress. They're just really authentic, and I think you can learn a lot from people who are looking at their life from the end perspective. Because they can look back and go, if I could do things over. And those are the kind of questions that really have me have a context for how I think people can live in the present and not wait to the end and look back and say, I wish I could have, should have, would have, all that stuff. And my wife and I, we have both of us, a husband and wife, work with couples. And one of the things we say is that we're an alternative to couples therapy.
Right.
And that is something that we believe that everybody who's in a relationship is committed, which we're going to get into, to a relationship, can have it work. But you got to be committed. If you're not committed, then chances are your relationship's not going to be as successful as you'd like to be.
Right.
And, we have a men's group coaching session that we do also on twice a month, and we do relationship training programs for singles. And we've done some couples programs and some seminars on, a man's perspective and blah, 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 blah.
I loved those, by the way. I can't
that's
wait.
On the list for this
That's
year.
on the list. Oh, I'm so excited. I really love, experiencing the men's perspective seminars, because for those of you that don't know, it was a seminar about 8-9 hour, a seminar during that day,
All day.
Yeah, it's an all-day seminar, and part of I'm not going to give away a lot, because if you're doing it again, people need to come and do it.
Okay.
But part of it was very interesting to me. Not only do we do the exercises and listen to the knowledge and of Melvin and Cherry, and really you impart a lot of tools and help us a lot, but the panel of men that sit up on the stage, there's a question and answer session. Where there are a panel of men from all walks of life, all professions. And just to get that, just as a woman, just to be able to hear that from a man, certain things answered from men, it was really, eye-opening.
Yeah, it should be. Because,
eye-opening.
Because I'm kind of woman-friendly, and my dissertation is on the unconscious impact of Motown music on the psyche of African-American women. Mm. So my work has been on women, and my wife's work has been on, the angry black woman. So between the two of us, we've always, it's kind of women.
Right.
So in understanding that, there are a lot of things that I understand, one, being a man, and also being around a lot of women. And I haven't run across too many women that have said that, it's like, Melvin, you understand women. And because I can't tell you how many women have acknowledged me to say that.
Right.
That's a hell of a compliment, because I'm able to relate to them, but I'm also, from a man's perspective, able to understand men and kind of like be an interpreter. Mm. So from the man's perspective, nobody taught men how to be men. It's been like osmosis. It's like, how do you learn love? You learn it, either somebody teaches you that, or you get somebody teaches you that.
Right,
so
right.
If you can acknowledge that somebody teaches you that, then men are being taught how to be men by accident more so than intentional. And a lot of men come up with single-family households with women raising them, and it's kind of hard for women to be men and to understand what it's like to be a man. So when men get together and realize nobody taught us how to be men, and yet you're looking at us as being responsible men, and we don't know what that's like, there's a gap.
Absolutely.
So how we see the world and how you see the world is very different. So once you start to see how we see the world, then all of a sudden things start to make sense. And you can't do it with a room full of women, and you can't do it by yourself. You have to have men involved. So
and
that's an
demonstrating
conversation.
Exactly, and demonstrating their they really did demonstrate their vulnerability. They demonstrated their humanness. I know, audience, we are sidetracking a little bit, but it is definitely, the seminar itself is worth every minute. It really is. That's what I'm looking forward to the next one. Hopefully first quarter. Oh wait, first quarter's almost over. Hopefully second quarter of 2016. But if anybody has been really paying attention to my Facebook post, I've been, I put something up there about commitment, and about one of our topics being commitment, self-love. So just to get started in regards to the commitment topic, to be honest with you, I looked up different definitions of commitment, and Melvin has a whole piece on that as well, and so I'm really happy that he's here to give us your perspective. But in regards to commitment, to devote oneself completely.
Yeah, take a deep breath.
Yeah, when
That's a lot.
When I read that,
read that again.
Yeah, to devote oneself completely. And so, who does that? And in what arena do we do that? The first thing that popped into my mind when I wrote the definition down, to devote oneself completely, was straddling the fence, which is the opposite of that. But I thought about how often we are half in and half out of what we do, whether it be relationships with your partner, whether it be at work, whether it be personal goals in relationship with self. And we always hear about the grass is always greener on the other side, but I thought to myself, well, why is that? Why do people say that? Is that really true? Is the grass really greener? Well, yes, the grass is greener, but the greener grass is not for you. And the reason why I say that is, number one, if I or a person is in an area of grass that is not green and luscious and beautiful, well, whose fault is that? So if I'm looking at somebody else's grass or somebody else's significant other or somebody else's family or somebody else's life or somebody else's accomplishments, I'm not committed and focusing on myself. And so if I'm looking there, I'm thinking it will be better over there, and then I'm resenting what I do have, and so I'm not investing with what I do have. So I'm not committed to me. I am neglecting me and or that relationship. I'm disliking. I'm sure couples out there have been through this where they are not doing the work in the relationship, and they start disliking their significant other, even though their significant other didn't do anything wrong. It's because they're lacking that commitment. You know, so you start looking at someone else and think, oh, it's going to be better. And then you get over to that someone else or that something else, and that green grass that you saw, as soon as you get there, it starts dying.
Well, I have a semi-Melvinism, which, you know, I have a lot of Melvinism. So, you know, things kind of put things in perspective. So it's like the grass is green on the other side of the fence until you jump over there and find out it's AstroTurf.
Uh-huh.
So it always looks greener, but when you get over and really touch it. So a couple of things about commitment. Because I could talk about commitment for 4 years.
Right.
You know, until one's committed, nothing really happens. And I think freedom comes from being committed. You can't drive on both sides of the road. You know, you can't be half pregnant. You know, you got to be like one or the other.
Yes.
And when you actually know you're pregnant, then you start thinking differently as compared to I think I'm pregnant or I'm not pregnant. Mm-hmm. So, you know, when you realize that you are responsible for your life, I find most people, especially when I'm coaching people individually, are not really committed. Mm-hmm. They think they're committed, but it's like when people get married and they say, to death do us part, I say we should change that until you piss me off.
Right.
Because that's not commitment. It's like I'm waiting until you do something that really is beyond anything I can deal with. Commitment is dealing with whatever it is that you can't deal with, included into the package. So when you start thinking about leaving, one of the things we tell couples before we work with them, and we've had like 100% success rate, but that's we realize there are two factors that are necessary.
Okay.
The first one is you got to love your partner, because if you don't care about them, it's over and done with.
Right.
The second one is you got to be committed. So when we ask people how committed they are to their marriage or to their relationship, if they say 5 or 6, then we know we can't work with them.
Yeah, that'd be challenging.
You got to be committed, because when you're committed, then you can start looking at solutions, because the goal is to stay together, and I'm committed to this relationship. I just don't know how to do what I need to do, or I need some help, I need some skills, I need some tools, I need something, but you're committed. And so it's like if you can't swim and you're in a boat, you're committed to staying in the boat. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So when you do that, all of a sudden you start looking for branches, you look for an oar, you're looking for somebody to be with you, you're trying to call somebody, you're trying to get somebody to come rescue you, you're trying to do a lot of different things, but you're not getting out of the boat. So commitment is like air, like you're breathing with the third finger up, going like, that's commitment, to get that next breath of air. So I'm suggesting that people don't operate like that for their personal well-being.
Right. Because
if you were really committed to your well-being, you probably would be the size you want to be. You would be in the physical state that you would want to be.
The financial state.
You would have your mentally, physical, emotional, everything would be in balance, because that kind of commitment is like, I love myself too much not to be. And to the degree that you can't be committed to you, how can you be committed to someone else?
And, you're reading my mind right now, because I was thinking there has to be some way that you can parallel the two, because so many people are in relationships and they're not fully there, but then you look at who they were individually before they got there, and it's like, okay, well, this person was half in and half out of being employed, and the other person had 2 or 3 different children with 2 or 3 different men, so they were half in and half out of those relationships too. And then when you bring those two people together, they're not complete. They didn't commit fully to the building of their independent self. And so when you bring those two people together, and then since they are unaware of what commitment really looks like, and I could use different examples. Those just popped to my head, so don't write me and be like, why are you hitting on single mamas? No, I'm not. But it's true. It's true. The commitment aspect of it, before I can commit to someone else, I believe for me I have to commit to making myself the best and the most that I can be. Because if I come to you and I'm half done or still, we're not complete. I don't want people to confuse committing to self and being complete, bringing yourself, because we are not complete ever, because as long as we're alive and we are growing and we are learning, we are completing ourselves. Hopefully we're trying.
Yeah, it's a journey.
It's a journey, right.
It's not a destination.
Exactly. But being committed to yourself and to building yourself and growing yourself and being committed to putting your best self forward so that you can attract someone that is in that same genre or that same state of being is very important.
But let me give you a different. I was talking to a client this week. I think the way people see relationships, and I'm not saying married like, you got to be married to be in a relationship.
Right.
With the dog even. But, you're talking about relationship, meaning you and something else or someone else. So I'm referring to someone else like in partnership.
Mm-hmm.
People have a tendency to believe when things are not working, it's time to leave because this is not working for me. If you look at a long distance run, it's a marathon, it's not a race. So all of these things that happen in most relationships, I consider them speed bumps, including infidelity, including lying, including cheating, including all of those things. Those are speed bumps. A lot of people that have
infidelity.
Infidelity is a speed bump. Now, you can get into the religious aspect, you can get into the moral aspect, you can get into I don't like the way it feels, but whatever the case may be, the reality is a lot of people are in relationships with people that have done something where they were not faithful. You about that?
I have actually seen people recover from that type of situation. It strikes a chord in me because that's why I'm not married.
That's one of the reasons I'm bringing it up.
So,
I knew you were going to say something.
Yeah!
Why should we have a normal conversation?
Exactly. You know how this man has known me for like 9-10 years. Yeah, you know how to trick me.
So let's turn to you.
Yeah, it's a not cheating, lying, and infidelity for me personally isn't a non-negotiable. But
I got it.
How do you control? You can't control that. If you're 10 years in and you're committed,
if you can't walk on water, chew gum, and make wine, then I would say you just normal like everybody else, and everybody makes mistakes. Now, I'm not suggesting that that's a good mistake or a bad mistake or you should get shot for it. I'm saying it's a speed bump.
I think stabbing would be more appropriate.
Wait a minute. I've talked to too many couples that have gotten through that and gotten over that.
Okay.
So when you really look at, what is it that would make you leave a relationship, if your values are such that you say, infidelity is a deal breaker, then you're done. But if you look at commitment, if the death do us part, that's a long journey, and a lot of stuff happens along the way. Not just, the bad stuff is infidelity, but what about I get cancer, I can't work, I accidentally cut my head off, I can't work, I lost my job, and
but that's not a conscious behavioral. Okay, all right.
You're being judgmental. I'm just saying.
I like this.
But you're just being judgmental.
But I would like to ask one question.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'd like to ask one question. In regards to a victim of an accident versus a person consciously choosing to adopt the behavior of a liar and a cheater and then ending up with a poor result in the relationship. How could that be compared one to the other? Because I didn't consciously have an accident.
No. But, there's something that happens before somebody usually commits adultery, if you're talking about cheating.
Okay, I want to hear about that, because I think that it's not one person's fault.
There are kind of reasons. Yeah. You can come up with your own reason, or you can make some reasons up, but there's a reason. It's like I don't get married or go into a relationship to cheat.
Well, absolutely not.
Wait a minute. It's like people don't purposely go get married. The average last time I checked was $26,000 to wear a white dress and be a fool for one day, and then 6 months later you get a divorce and talk about we spent all that money, we still paying for it on credit cards. That's not smart. So if you start off right, you might have a chance ending up right.
Okay.
So if you're ending up with someone who doesn't have that much integrity and not committed to the relationship, that he sees that this will damage my relationship, it would damage my not only integrity, but my trust, and I will probably never be able to recover from this. They might forgive me, but they're not going to forget me.
Right.
And so if that's the case, you might look at it and say, my commitment to my relationship is such that I'm not going to do that. And I'm saying emotional infidelity is just as bad as physical infidelity, because if you can think it, that means that your mind was open to doing it. And you might just be saying, oh, I'm not having a physical thing with the woman or the man. We're just like talking to each other and draining that positive energy or that love energy from your relationship because you give it to somebody else.
Mm. And see, that's a question of what the couple feels is cheating and what's not cheating and what's infidelity or whatever. But
I've run across couples who believe in polyamorous relationships where, the woman, two women in the house of the same man, they don't consider it cheating. It's like, I want to make sure that he's happy, and if it takes 2 or 3 women, I'm like, what? Okay, well, to each his own. Everybody has a different way of seeing the world. This is just your way of seeing it, and probably the way that most women see it. Now, part of the dissertation and studying is that if you go back to like 1930s and 40s and 50s, and I'm generalizing, so don't nobody go, oh, he said, no. but you go back, a lot of men cheated or had girlfriends on the side, and it was accepted for women in the 40s and 50s because after having 10 babies, you didn't want to have sex no way. And the second thing is that, he's going to go out Friday night, and he's going to get his hooch and do all the kind of stuff he's going to do, and you don't know about it anyway because you're not going anywhere because you got all the kids.
Yes. Yeah,
so he comes back home.
That sounds like hell to me. That lifestyle sounds like hell.
Well, that's why it's changed. Mm-hmm. And that's why a lot more women are by themselves because they ain't putting up with it.
Okay. Well, hold on. We're not going to get to any of our material. We're just gonna hold on. Well, you know what? Here's the thing.
Getting a little warm in here.
You
understand? Okay.
We can turn the fan on.
I got water. Come on.
There's a lot of reasons why we're by ourselves. There's a lot of choices that we've made as women that are good and not so good. And the reason why I say that is, again, some women think 10 kids stuck at home and husband doing what he wants to do, that would be hell. Now, let me tell you about my parents. Now, my dad was not that man that stepped out on my mother, but my mother was completely content with being a housewife and, being his wife and being our mother and running everything in between. Because I think the term housewife has, and nowadays it's looked down upon. I regard that title highly, because I benefited from a woman that was dedicated, my mother, hi Mom, that was dedicated to her family, that was dedicated to her husband. They understood the word commitment. They've been married like 50-something years. And through everything, and neither one of them were perfect. I witnessed things. Don't worry, I'm not putting your laundry out there, Ma. But, I witnessed things, and I went through things as a child and young adult, and I learned about commitment and relationship through them. But I also learned, being the modern woman that I am today, I have choices. The one thing that she said is she was glad that she chose that because that's what was in her heart. But she says she had many friends that didn't choose that, but because that was the norm, that they basically lived their lives as they thought they should, not as they wanted to.
Right.
So, yeah.
And the difference is that today, women want to live their lives the way they want to.
Right. And
I'm not saying it's bad, and I'm not saying that that's good or doesn't
like
that's just the reality. It's like gravity. You drop it, it falls on the floor. I like that freedom. Yeah. But you make a good point, though. I felt that little stab, and that's why y'all are single. I felt it. But seriously, though, there are definite reasons why we are single, why that to our detriment. There are things that we've done as women that are pushing men away. And we talked about this in group coaching about having the masculine side be so prevalent because we're running the households, we're bringing in the bacon, we're working, we're raising the children, we're the bosses at our careers, that we have taken on that male energy. And let me give you...
Go ahead.
On the other side of that, after I get through talking to women about all of this stuff that, you got your vibrator, you got your car, you got your mace, you got your 911, you got your 911, so you don't need the police, you don't need somebody to rescue you because you can go beep and somebody's there. You probably got mace in your pocket too and all that other kind of stuff when you're out there.
Like
you can make your car go off and hit a button and car. So you're not nowhere near as frightened as women would be to go out, and it wasn't even acceptable, say, 50, 60, 70 years ago. Mm-hmm. So, you know, you got it. You know, you don't need men. You know, we can be replaced. You know, even especially with you all the young boys.
I don't know about replace. I just to be okay. Yes, I need a man.
Replace, like, you know,
with the
machinery.
Machinery.
Right. I got you.
But I have to agree with you. I personally don't feel, and a lot of women I know don't personally feel that I need a man in my life to feel like a complete woman. But
see, unconsciously, I would say a lot of women who are not feeling complete because they don't have a partner have been unconsciously programmed to think that that's a missing and they're supposed to have one. And when it's not available or when it's missing, then it's kind of like, oh, I don't have a partner.
Right.
Or if you decide to go to school, get an education, get a master's degree, and then get a great job and get settled on your job, and the next thing you know, you're 35 or 40, and you go, oh, I was supposed to have kids 10 years ago. You know, and then, you know, you forgot all of that. And then it's like, well, you know, I'm selfish because, you know, I really don't want to, you know, a baby, and that's going to change my life, and my career is just getting off the ground, and what if I get a promotion, and oh, my God, and then, you know, like, him? No, wait, you know, and then money, and then who's going to raise it, and I don't want nobody to raise money. All of that stuff goes through your head, I'm suggesting, right. And you go like, I've got to find somebody who's really special and somebody that I really love to even think about doing something like that.
Exactly.
Because it's going to change my life. And if you did it the first time, you might be a little cautious about doing it the second time if it didn't work out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And so now what you
my
got,
language now.
Yeah, so now what you got is you got kids experiencing mommy being able to be self-sufficient, going to school, becoming, you know, getting an education, and being able to do all the things that she wants to do by herself without consulting. Oh, what are you doing tonight? Oh, what about this? Or do I need to spend money on this or spend money on that? Because most people don't have the same mindset when it comes around money. So now you're going to be going like, what about this and my money? You make more money. What about the bank account? Is my bank account? No, it's not. It gets crazy. But when you're by yourself,
you don't have those issues. You really don't.
Different issues.
But yes, different issues. But I will speak on as far as being single and dating and being by myself. I do want companionship.
Absolutely.
But the companionship has to be compatible with my lifestyle.
Exactly.
And see, that is
where the
trickiness.
Way.
Well, I can compromise down all that. Don't mess me up for all the guys.
Compromise to my lifestyle. You didn't say compromise to a mutual lifestyle.
Oh my God,
that works for both of us. It's all about like
Tracy's way.
Okay.
Oh shoot.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just being to acknowledge that gives you freedom and power.
Exactly.
Not to acknowledge that is like, I have no clue. I don't know why. It's like, you know.
No, I know exactly why. I know it. I was talking to Sherry. I had a wonderful session with Sherry. I know exactly why I was single. Oh, I said was. That was a Freudian slip. Okay, that means he's coming. I know exactly why I was single. Part of it.
I think he's at the door.
Oh, hey. I hope he's fine. Okay, you better look good, have some money. Don't kid.
Okay, see, that's another one. You know, it's like. There's 37,500 compatible matches, according to a person I was on a panel with, as a psychologist, in the world. 37,500 compatible matches for every human being.
I'll be
tired.
And if you go,
I don't care what you do, but if you walk up and down the street and you are consciously looking at couples, you would probably go like, what? Him? How did they? Yeah. You know, she's 12 feet tall and he's 2 feet wide. So what? You know what? How did this happen?
In my life.
You know, the white, black, old, young. You know, crippled. I've seen couples, blind couples, you know, get together and you're like, huh? 2 blind people? Are they crazy? Neither one of them can see. But you know, people are people.
Yeah.
And I have seen every kind of person, I think, matched up with every other kind of person that I would not have thought would be with that person. And I just said, okay, guy, I give it up. You know. To each his own. There's somebody for everybody. And I bet you got some female friends. They might not look real beautiful, but they got somebody. And then you know some female friends that are really gorgeous, and they can't even find a cold.
Oh, you said it. You said it right there. You absolutely did say it, because there have been, and you know, when I'm in my humanness and I'm looking at things, and you know, I've been around at my previous job. You know, there was a coworker that was. What's the lady in the Bible that they describe that is not pleasing to the eye? Is that Rachel or Rebecca? I forgot. But we had someone at the office that was not aesthetically pleasing to the eye. I don't judge people on their physical appearance, but it by normal standards, she was not aesthetically pleasing to the eye.
Okay.
And her husband was fine. And
could you say that again?
Fine. And people in the office were so mean about it. And it was just like, how'd she get him? And look at him.
Yep.
And while people were saying it, I had thought it too. I'm not a saint. But then I realized what you were saying. It was like, there's somebody for everybody, and it may not look what you think it's going to look like.
Usually doesn't.
Right.
And what you're doing is looking with a pair of glasses, thinking it's supposed to be someone that fits your vision. And I'm saying, take the glasses off. You know what would be amazing? If we could take our glasses off and go in a room, in a dark room with people, and you find someone that you spiritually connect with, and somebody that makes your heart go, and then turn the lights on. And whoever you pick in the dark, that's probably the person you should be with, because you take away all of that. What kind of cars he got, and is he 6 feet tall? Is he or is she like, oh, she dropped dead? Oh, look at the booty. Ooh, look at that. Oh, I like the way she talks. Oh, she's got big tits. All of that stuff. But that's not the stuff that lasts for 20 years.
You're right.
Because when you're 80 years old, you ain't got no teeth and you can't walk and you're in the bed.
Yeah. Well,
looking at your souls.
Yeah, that's when you know that somebody that's still there with you was there for you for who you were.
Not
in
for
your
what you
spirit,
look like.
not for what you look like.
I don't know too many people that are 60 and 70 years old look like they were when they're 19.
No. I don't look like...
You got something to look forward to.
I don't look like how I look like at 19. I think I look best around 30, though. I'd like to have that. But you know what? Let me cut to commercial.
Yes.
Our audience, if you want to give us a call in, 909-726-7226. Don't be shy. You are listening and watching Live Conversations with Tracy here on Twilight Talk Radio. See you in a minute.
Okay.
Hi, this is Nicolas Cage. When you're a teenager, there are a lot of things going on that can produce stress and anxiety. The pressures of school, dating, and the future in general can seem overwhelming sometimes. But there are healthy ways to deal with stress, ways to reduce it and channel your energy in positive directions. And you don't have to do it alone. The Will Rogers Institute has a free booklet with some really helpful information.
For your free copy, visit wrinstitute.org and find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Hi, I'm Harry Anderson. For a good, uncomplicated way to exercise, take a walk. At any age, walking is one of the best ways to keep your heart fit and your joints limber, without the injuries that jogging or some aerobics can cause. Ask your shoe salesman for a shoe that's designed for walking. And ask your doctor to help you plan an exercise walking program that's right for you. Soon, you'll be on the road to better health.
A message from the Will Rogers Institute, wrinstitute.org.
Come on, Bobby. Use a little elbow grease and make this car really shine.
Dad, I am.
Now use the hose to really blast the underside.
Okay, Dad.
Hey, not me.
Oops. Wow, Dad. Look at how greasy the water is. And it's all going into the street.
That's why there are storm drains, I guess.
Actually, storm drains were never intended as catch-alls. Detergents, fertilizers, pesticides, motor oil, even pet waste wash into our storm drains and go untreated right into our streams, rivers, ponds, and lakes. That's the water we drink, swim in, boat on, and enjoy. We can prevent stormwater pollution. Learn what you can do. Check the web at thinkbluemaine.org. That's thinkbluemaine.org. Think Blue. In Maine, clean water starts with you. Brought to you by Maine DEP, U.S. EPA Clean Water Act, and Think Blue Maine Partners.
Welcome back to Live Conversations with Tracy here on Twilight Talk Radio. You see my fabulous co-host here with me, Dr. Melvin Allen. And for those of you that are just tuning in, we have been talking about commitment. We've been talking about a lot of stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
If you missed the first half, stay tuned. The second half is going to be just as good. But just to, just for people that are just joining us, if you would like to call in 909-726-7226, and let's hit the ground running, Melvin, because we were really getting into some good stuff about relationships, about commitment, about how you were talking about your experience in dealing with couples about certain things are speed bumps and certain reasons why, women nowadays compared to the women of yesteryear, how their approaches to relationships and, how as women we're still single.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, there's valid reason. One of my pet peeves about women, and, and I'm a...
You
I'm
love
a
women.
feminist.
I'm shocked.
I'm a
feminist to the light.
I'm a feminist.
Morning, noon, and night.
I'm all about empowerment. I'm all about, equal pay, equal, relationships, not equal in the sense that, we do the diapers, I do the diapers, and we wash clothes and stuff like that. I don't mean that. But I really am committed to people being able to work out their relationship issues, because we as animals, we don't live on islands by ourselves. We are people-oriented, and we need people. That's why they lock you up in prison when you do something. They say you're in solitary confinement, because everybody knows people.
People.
Okay? So what I'm suggesting is that if you're going to be around people, we need to probably learn who we are first, and that is where the commitment comes in, because when you know who you are, then you have the ability to be conscious enough to know what works and what doesn't work for you.
Absolutely.
But if you don't know who you are and you can't think for yourself, then somebody will probably come along and think for you. So it is better for you to spend the time knowing yourself before you even get into a relationship, and most people don't do that. Based on what they've learned from their mama, their daddy, the television, the media, the books, the stories, their girlfriends, whatever the case may be, you start making choices, and when you start making those choices, you start to develop who you are. And then some of us get fixated on, like, this is who I am, like, this is my world, and you visiting, or you turn into a marshmallow and you let men dominate you. And if there was one thing that I would say to women more than anything else, is take a survey. For the last year or so, my wife and I go out to dinner a lot, and we sit in the restaurant, and I'm saying, okay, survey time. Who's going to pick up the check? 9 out of 10 times over the last year, the women are picking up the check, pulling out the credit card, and paying for the meal. 9 out of 10 times. Now, don't vote, don't get crazy.
Wow.
9 out of 10 times the woman is doing that. And then I had a conversation with a guy, very successful guy, let's say successful. And he was born and raised in California. And he says, I'm not like all those other guys. I'm a good guy. At least I pick up the check. Man, these dudes out here are so slack. They go out to dinner and she got to pick the check up. They don't even think about taking money. First of all, they ain't got none. And second of all, they go there and, it's like, I don't have any money. I didn't bring any money. You wanted to go to dinner or you wanted me to see you. So like, I ain't got no money. So it's like, you pay so that you can get out of that embarrassing situation, or you pay thinking like, well, what difference does it make who has the most money? If I have the most money and I really want to be with this person, I don't mind spending the money, because if it was reversed and he had the most money, he was spending the money on me, and I'm going like, 9 out of 10 pull the credit card out and they pay for the meal. So I'm suggesting that, because things are a little bit mixed up in the area of relationships, that, now we get dating online. And most people are sick of it, find it too demanding, requires too much time, and you got to let me get on 2 or 3 websites. That might increase my odds of finding someone. And, it works the way it works. But women are the ones, I believe, have the ability to control the world.
Who run the world?
I believe that women are the ones, men have been doing it forever, and we haven't done that great. Look at the way the world is now. I think it's fabulous, but there are some things that need to be fixed,
right,
and
right.
women don't have the same kind of kill it, tear it up, blow it up, destructive personalities that we get as little boys. When, you get in the crib, they throw you a dowel. When we get in the crib, they throw us a gun.
That's true.
So we are still like play cowboys and Indians.
Yeah, right. And,
my
we play dress up and Barbie.
My sisters didn't, get guns and say go play cowboys and Indians. I got guns and cowboys and Indians, and we ride fire trucks, and we do all those, play soldier and all that kind of stuff. And you get a doll, you get dressed, you get a doll house, and you look at Cinderella and all of the nice, beautiful, kind, sweet things, and you're thinking, like, that's the way life is supposed to be, because at a young age, you've been pre-programmed into thinking it's going to be some ideal way of being, that you're going to get Mr. Wonderful, and it's all going to turn out, and he's going to come across the mountain on a white horse, and now it's a rented BMW, and it doesn't even belong to him.
Right, exactly. And he lives at home with his mama.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
In the basement.
Not the basement, brother. Wait a second.
And that's not everybody. But I'm saying that and then there's so many women that are so eager to be independent and fierce and ferocious that it's like, I'm going to call him up. And Sherry and I both have clients. We say, do not have sex for 60 days. They think that's a lifetime. And we could check back with them week, 2 weeks, A month is a lifetime.
I just don't
A
get
month
that.
is a lifetime, and they all say, well, I wanted it more than he wanted it. Or well, where'd you get it? Well, he disappeared. After he got it, he just left town.
I want to touch on that too, because
Come on.
I noticed for sure, the whole sexual aspect of it. I'm in complete agreement with you and Sherry in regards to allowing the physical intimacy to come later. And the reason why I say that is because in relationships that I've had and other people that have shared things with me, it seems like that if the sexual intimacy comes sooner, then that's the focus, and other areas don't get developed. And so I don't care how good the sex is. After a while, you're going to, roll over and look at that person and be like, I don't know you. And then you want to try to get to know that person, and then you don't like them. So basically, that person has spent 3, 4, 5 months just screwing their way in the relationship, and then decided that I really don't like that person, or that person is not what I thought they were, but I was so concerned about getting some, man or woman, because, in today's day and age, women are very aggressive sexually too. And it's like, so how many people are you going to give 6 months of your time to? How many people are you going to give your body to and feel? I don't know how men feel if the relationship doesn't work, if you have sex early and the woman leaves. I tend to see that men leave when they get sex because that's a woman's perspective. That's what I've seen. Now, I don't know about a man's perspective, so I'm asking. I'm asking seriously, though. How does a man feel?
Generalizing. If you really want to understand people, look at animals. If you go out hunting for a deer and you kill the deer with one shot, bow and arrow, rifle, whatever, hit it with a brick, I don't care, dead. You don't shoot the deer 12 times.
Sure.
Once the deer is dead, you're done. So the hunt is the most significant part of getting the deer.
Ladies, listen.
The hunt is the most significant part. So we don't know you from a can of paint, but yet we see you walking across the street and say, "Ooh, I want that." Now just think about it. I want that.
Right.
So that
not
whole,
even her or girl or look at that pretty lady.
Don't know if you can write your name, okay? You can't go to the bathroom without instructions.
But you want
dumb as a bowling ball. And you want that.
You want that.
Until you walk across the street and you go like, ooh. Fake this, long that, the pumped up this, all this kind of stuff. So, it's the grass on the other side of the fence. Might look good until you get over there and find out, ooh. Or you find out she's got a foul mouth, she's an alcoholic and a drug addict too. But whatever it is.
But y'all will still hit it though, okay?
That's true.
Hello.
Especially if it's dark.
Okay.
But if you see it across the street and you're going like, ooh, that's what pulls you. That's what attracts you. It's not, you can't stand across the street and say, this woman across the street has got the most intellectual mind I've ever experienced or ever heard of in my life. From across the street? I don't think so. Mm-mm. She's got an IQ of like, oh, no, you don't know all of that. Mm-mm. But it's the physical thing that has us go, ooh. Now, if that's the physical thing that has us go, ooh, that's probably part of what's going to have us go, I want to do what's necessary. So you've heard me say this before. And the men on the panel say the same thing. When we show up on dates, it's our representative. It's not us. So we want to do and say whatever we got to say to have the relationship work because we want our best behavior.
Right.
They ain't going to tell you that we got 4 women or that we've been married 4 times. You got to learn that I guess we don't want to put all that out.
No.
So we're doing this dance, you and I doing this dance, and the only way you're going to find out who a person is to take the time to find out who the person is, and you can't do that. But once you start doing the sex and the oxytocin, a drug comes out, and then you start looking at
emotional stuff.
Sherry says, you scream. Yeah, I know. It's oxytocin. He said, I know. He said, you don't know who you're looking at. You look like he's got 3 heads. And she said, I'll just focus on one. So when you get to a point that you're going to make excuses up for like, oh, well,
right.
Then you know that you've been hooked. So I'm suggesting that you give yourself 60 days. The comedian,
what's his name? Steve Harvey.
Yeah. 60 days, 90 days. He said, you're on probation. You're on the job training. You don't get to have the job until you actually prove that you can do the job. Right. So doing the job is just not about doing the sexual job. It's about doing the complete job. So, you can't type, but you want to be a secretary? I don't think so. Mm-mm. So just because you look good, that's not enough of it. So, and how many men have you seen look good to just like, Such a disappointment. Go to work, you see all these new people you've never met before, and you're going like, "Ooh, he's cute. He's this." And then after 6 months, you're going, "He's a dud." But you had to be there 6 months to find out he was a dud. You got to do the same thing in relationships.
That's true.
And if you're not putting the time in, you're not committed to you finding the best person for you.
I agree with you. I wholeheartedly agree with you about that. However,
come on. Sometimes
we want to believe that what the truth is not real.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're tired of going through this one, that one, this one, that one. And we've gotten to a point where it's like, okay, they meet most of my criteria, and I haven't had someone in 6 months. And it's about that time. And so I'm going to break him off a little bit, see what he does with it.
I hear you.
Now, that generally is not a good recipe. That's like a recipe for a problem or for, that 10-year booty call or that 3-month booty call or whatever.
I hear you.
So as a woman and as a man, because I know there are some men that are authentically searching for and wanting someone to be of significance in their life.
Absolutely.
So when you're coaching people, when you and Cherry are counseling people and they're in the dating phase, what advice do you give them as far as how to avoid the sex trap? I'll call it the sex trap.
Yeah,
that 3 times. I went out 3 times and we hit it. That damn LA 3 date 3 times. I get it.
That's a whole seminar. I wish I could attempt. For a couple of things.
Yeah.
First thing that hits me real quick.
Mm-hmm.
If it's worth waiting for, you'll wait.
Yes.
If it's not worth waiting for, you won't. And if you want to find out if a guy is a player, listen to what he says, because usually a player knows how to say whatever's necessary, and he's able to say it. He's very smooth. He's got a lot of answers. He knows how to come back. He knows how to make suggestions.
Yeah.
And it was just a fabulous evening. Probably has done it before.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's just so wonderful that it's fabulous, and it's like, whoa, it was really great. He took me here. He did this. He did this. He did this. He's probably done it before.
Okay.
And most men who are on the hunt are not going to waste their time, because the next one is going to say, we ain't got to spend 30 days. We can do this now. So why would I want to wait on you for 30, 60, or 90 days when I can get this one in 30 minutes? And if a man was in a bar and there were 100 women, he started at number 1, he would not have to get to 100 before one of those women would say, I'll take you.
Right. And
so why do I have to worry about it with you won't, she will?
And that's the plight of the single
woman. And they
woman
might be your friend.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, you're speaking the truth
I'm
right
getting
now.
mad. Well, if you couldn't handle it, I could handle it. It was all that crazy stuff. So,
yes, and you are describing the plight of the single, of the woman of substance, I'll say. The woman of substance is very frustrated with the woman that is, I don't want to dog out women that give it up quick. I don't want to label them. I don't want to, as the slut shame them, as the popular term is. But what I do want to say about them is I think every woman, if they were honest, has been there. And so when we cross over into mature womanhood and realize who we are as women of substance, we're here on this island and we get to deal with what we used to do, but from a different perspective. So now the men are still messing around with the women that have not crossed over into the island of substance with us, but our pool of men is smaller.
Yes.
So, hopeful, hopeless. What do you think?
37,500 compatible matches in the world.
Bring it home.
But here's the part that most people don't want to hear. That match may not be 30 minutes from your house in the most desirable area in the world, because that way, you can just be very convenient. You can come over. You don't have to drive. He's not the valley. It's not the traffic. Yeah. 37,500 in the world. I met my wife, in Atlanta. I lived in New Jersey, and she lived in L.A. We bumped into each other in Atlanta, and then we came, I don't know what we did. For a year, we did this, we did that, and the next thing we know, we met again the following year in Jamaica, not in New Jersey, and not in L.A. And boom, 16 years later, we still married.
Love
and we're doing
story.
This work together. But I didn't know that. So how do you know? You can't tell me anybody on this planet that can tell me 5 years ago they knew they were going to be exactly where they are right now.
Oh, yeah.
So you can't tell me where you're going to be 5 years from now.
Mm-mm.
So you can have.
Well, I can say what I want 5 years from now.
You can have great intentions, but you don't know.
But you don't know.
Okay.
Exactly.
So I'm suggesting that you never know who that person is, but if you're not open to anyone that God sends you, and then go, this is the one, and you thinking it's got to be this, and this, you limit your own choices. And I don't care if it's prison or jail or death or drugs or whatever it is, they're not seeming like a lot of men who are emotionally, mentally, physically, and financially available for all the women who have gotten to a point where they are self-sufficient, independent, educated, well-off, and where they do that. Now, it doesn't mean that if you don't have an education that you're supposed to be, in a cesspool, just like it doesn't make any difference. It seems like there's always a shortage of men. Now, I don't hear women talking about, oh, there's so many men around here. I hear women talking about there's not enough men, and men are going like, I hit this one, I got this, and I got this, and this, and, so there is a problem. Now, what do you do about it? I think the best thing you can do is concentrate and be committed on being the best you can be. And as I told all my female clients, you heard me say it in seminars, when you go out at night, and you look into the sky, which star grabs your attention?
The brightest.
So all you got to do is be the brightest star in the sky, being the best you can be, being authentic, and really have integrity about and a commitment to who you are, because that will stand out as compared to Bimbo next door, who's got got a coochie mama her skirt on and thinking that that's of substance. Because most men, if I'm going to marry you or I want a long-term commitment, it's going to be a little bit more than sex if he's halfway conscious. So after he gets past the sex, like, is he staying or is he leaving? Well, why don't you find out if he's going to stay or leave before the sex so that you can see that I'm not going to throw grass seed on concrete and stand outside waiting for it to grow.
Because it won't.
Okay? So you want to make sure that the fertile soil that you plant your seeds in has the possibility of growing into something that you really want. And that means knowing who you are. So if you're not committed to you and self-love, why should you give it away to somebody else?
Exactly. Good segue, too, because I do want to talk a little bit about self-love. And I really think that that's the key. That self-love is the key. I put something on Facebook today, actually, about if you don't love yourself, you'll spend your lifetime chasing others that don't love you either.
Love it.
And it's a meme, but it really hit home, because you see people that are chasing and chasing and chasing love, but are not loving themselves.
See, here's the thing. Melvin says, women should not be looking for love, and they should be not looking for the man. What they should be doing is waiting for who runs after this. It's a lot easier to stand still and let somebody catch you than it is to go run after something. Because if they really want you, they'll make an effort to find you or do whatever's necessary because they want you. So being that bright star, you stand out as being the one who's not like everybody else, that's not giving it on the first day, who is also somebody who's committed to saying, I'm not doing that. So we get clients that when they stopped doing, within the next week or so, on the third date, men went like, you're different.
And, it's not that hard to be different either. It really isn't. It's just controlling yourself and having an objective, having that confidence. Here's the thing. I just thought of this. Because it comes from a premise of, like, knowing yourself and loving yourself and being okay with being single. One of the things about, the relationship readiness quiz about I am happy and successful being single. I enjoy my life, my work, my family, my friends, and my own company. I am living the life that I want, and I am not seeking a relationship out of desperation and need.
Desperation and need. When you're not looking for a relationship like, I'm on 40 and I want to get married, but you're just living your life that's really fantastic and you're glowing and beaming like a bright star, they find you.
Absolutely.
I don't think you should find them, because you can absolutely find someone that thinks you are to catch me out. You can't be at home waiting for UPS to deliver your boyfriend. You got to be out here in the street. You got to be out here doing things. And so if you don't like street, meaning like clubs or something like that, go volunteer to work at a museum.
That's a good point, too, because I think a lot of people are women are a lot hung up on, like, I got to be on the internet sites, I got to be at this, hyped place that, people are all going to, I have to be, at this venue. And what I have found is when I started pursuing different interests, Toastmasters, the radio show, different things Zumba, different things that I enjoy doing, the arts, when I was living in my purpose. I am meeting people that I am sharing things with that have a common ground with me, and it's a more natural development and a likeness of each other.
Right.
And I think it's important. I say this all the time about, women should advertise themselves, but in the sense of not advertise themselves like I'm for sale, but advertise themselves like I have a fabulous life, and a man you would want to be part of my life because I love myself, I have interesting things that I like to do, and I show up well.
Now, part of the problem I find with successful independent women is that a lot of them have great lives, and a lot of them are doing the things they really love to do and doing it with incredible people, and they're very, very happy living like that. And sometimes they're the best partner, and they can do that. There's a consciousness as being able to go in my relationship that I'm conscious to how is it that I need to learn my partner in such a way that I really know what makes them tick and what makes them work so that I know what I do is conscious versus unconscious. So you can't be a sheriff on the job and then come home with your six-pack and then think you're going to be the sheriff at home and they're going to run it like you did at the office. It's balance. It's like being able to know when you're feminine and when you need to be strong and independent. And that balance is very hard for a lot of women to achieve because once you start doing the single, strong, independent woman thing, it's kind of hard to turn off.
SPW, you guys, single professional woman.
Professional woman. So you come home, you know how to get things done, so you get busy and get things done versus being vulnerable, consciously vulnerable to a point, honey, can you go pick up this, can you get this, you can do that. Because if we can't help you, can't make a difference in your life, why do we need you?
Okay, yes, that is the man's perspective, and yes, I've heard that before, and I don't disagree with that. But this thing keeps playing in my mind, and I think as women we make a mistake. There's a song that Sheryl Crow had years ago about, "Are you strong enough to be my man?" Okay, and I think it's a beautiful song, but I think it misled us as women that we look for someone. I have been like, well, he's not stronger than me. Well, I'm not supposed to be stronger than him, so where's that feminine side?
So here's where Melvin Dress turn the wheel a little bit, because everybody's not good at everything.
True.
So I might be the one that's good with money, and you're not. I might be the one that's good with sex, and you're not. But to find someone that's compatible on all the levels, that's very unusual. And I think we have these false expectations that all of these things are supposed to line up. So where is the point where you're going like, I'm this fabulous woman, and I deserve more than this? And what you might want to look at is like, well, what am I basing that on? Now, are you basing that on somebody that would be able to wipe your ass at 90 years old when you're in a sick, old folks'
No,
house?
Because that's not what I'm looking at right now. Because I'm in my 40s, and I'm not thinking about when I'm super old. I'm thinking about, you want to know what I'm thinking about?
Yeah.
I'm thinking about someone that is basically at the place that I am in my life, that they're at the same place, and he and I are looking at enjoying ourselves through retirement.
Then you're really looking at the big picture. You're not looking at the small picture.
Well,
the big picture is like, who is going to be there when I'm 79 years old that's going to love me for the way I used to be looking, and you be able to look at me the way I used to have money when I was working, and look at me when when we had all these fun things to do, and now we sitting up looking at television wondering like we better get the remote because we don't have the strength to get up and change the station.
Oh, God.
And when you get like that, looking at the big picture, then it's going to be about really what's inside a person and not what's on the outside of a person.
Can it be like a combination?
I would think you need balance.
Because I think
you got to have balance.
I would like the combination because not only do I want the man, okay, in my mind I'm like, well, wait a second. And I'm sure, ladies, you can relate to this too. Ooh, shoot. We only got 2 minutes. I'm sorry. I just looked at the clock. Oh, my goodness. Okay, I'll make my last point. Here's the thing. In my mind, I'm like, okay, I would love to be in a relationship with someone now and be in a committed relationship with someone now from now to the rest of my life because I'm still youthful and young enough that the sex is going to be bomb. And we're still going to have activities to do. We're still going to have fun, this, that, or whatever. And we're going to enjoy like a solid, 20 years? Are men still good around 70? I don't know. My guessing is, okay, well, thank you. Now I know. I'm like, can I get a good 25 years of youthfulness and exuberance and virility before I have to lay on a couch with him and we're all like, damn, hand me the remote.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Can you put that Bengay on my back?
Well, I want that too later, but right now I'm thinking about having fun. and building an empire and traveling and enjoying and not raising any babies. Damn it.
I hear you.
Don't men that are in your 50s. Why are you making kids?
I hear you.
We don't want that. No.
I hear you. It makes sense to me.
Ooh.
But it's all about your selection, and it's about your commitment to yourself, because you're the common denominator in everything you do until the day you die. So start with you.
Well, I want you to tell people how they can get in contact with you before I shut it down.
Call you. Touch you. Facebook you and say, how was that guy to so-and-so and so-and-so, blah, 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 blah.
Absolutely. However, you have a website.
Yes, melvinandsherry.com.
Yes.
And you can text me, you can email me, and you got 32 seconds to go.
And we can work it out. Okay. We are out of time, so I'm going to close the show. I want to give a big thank you to you, Melvin. You're fabulous.
Coming back.
Yes, always. I enjoy having you on the show. I hope my audience enjoyed it as well. If you need to get in contact with me, email me at tracytalks@hotmail.com. tracytalks@hotmail.com. You have been listening and watching Life Conversations with Tracy here on Twilight Talk Radio. Until next Sunday, be positive, be powerful, and be blessed. I am TK all day, signing out, and good night, and thank you, Melvin.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
We got a show on set.
The views and opinions expressed on this show are those of the host and or the persons appearing on the program, and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of Twilight Talk Radio, its advertisers, or affiliates. Listener discretion is advised.